Hey folks, Baxel here. Today's video is about how to play the urn. It's probably one of the most rewarding mechanics in the game once you get to grips with it. There are a few key principles that once we master and gain an understanding of, it can net us massive results quite quickly. Our first point of discussion is about the souls. Okay, so for the souls in Deadlock and how we should think about them, is the urn at 10 minutes only gives around 3,000 souls. Now, other objectives on the map at this point are tier 2 camps for 250 souls that are quite takeable at between 10 and 15 minutes for most heroes. A box route can net you 350 plus souls, and a tower is 1,000 souls. It's estimated that for about a solo wave at this point, you'd be getting 900, and if you share it with somebody, you'd be getting about 1,100 or more souls, as a result of you both getting 60% of the wave value, if that makes sense. As a result, if at 10 minutes you're getting a kill, getting tower, and then doing a box run on your way to the shop, for example, you're making 2,000 souls, and all of a sudden, this 3,000 soul urn is starting to look really not worth. So, by all means, first urn, not necessarily the best thing that you could be doing with your time. Now, the other urns do increase in value, and most importantly, your team becomes more and more proficient at farming, so the resources become more and more scarce as they get taken away from the map. So as a rule of thumb, I would recommend that just taking the urn from the 15-minute marker onwards is your best bet. If you're hard stomping and you've killed all 3 towers and you've got a carry who's able to 1v2, then sure, by all means, just grab the urn and run it, draw some pressure away from them. Maybe they can do something with that and steal some enemy camps or something. But to be honest, it's almost always better in this meta specifically to just try and go and steal Sinner Sacrifice, for example, because it's very unlikely that if a team is hard losing, they're able to defend all 3 waves and clear off all the Sinner Sacrifice on the map. So yeah, like I say, it's just best to consider doing that instead. Now, once time ticks on and you start to get later into the game, as we've discussed, the urns from 15 minutes onwards start to look very appealing. It's important to note that the first urn will always spawn on the left side of the map on yellow. So our 15-minute, our 25-minute, and our 35-minute urns will be on green, and 10, 20, 30, and so on will be on yellow. The only time this isn't true is if an urn is picked up and held whilst the timer ticks from, say for example, if you pick up the 10-minute urn and you drop it at 15 minutes and 1 second, so after the buff spawn, then it will stay on yellow. That's the only thing to bear note of, and that's very unlikely to happen. So I personally just assume, unless I notice that the urn's been held, and that it's just going to alternate between sides. Now, all we need to talk about for how to run the urn is this general strategy that's in front of us now. So this is a 1-1-4 strategy. This is the general positioning you can assume is on the map when the urn is in play. The reason why this is important to talk about is because running the urn isn't the only benefit. It's not just the souls that it's worth that are the reason why we're running this. It shifts the map to look like this. So as a result of running the urn, generally speaking, 4 players will show up to fight the urn, and you'll have 1 player on each team trying to defend these waves. This is the most consistent way to fight the urn, especially in pubs. So what will often happen is if one of these players in the blue lane is way stronger, they'll push up and crash a wave, and then they'll come rotate over to gain numbers to then fight this urn. On the side lane that's opposite of the urn, or where you pick it up from, you'll often have split pushers and hard carries who are just trying to farm up and get as many souls as they can, or use the opportunity to win the 1v1 and look at pressuring a walker, for example. This is just a rule of thumb. It's not necessarily perfect advice, but if we think about the map looking like this as the urn is being ran, we can start to think of where the positions are of players and how to abuse them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at some quick pictures and have a look at the conditions of the players, the soul values, and the mini map, and make decisions about if it's a good urn to run and for which team. And then lastly, we're going to look at some videos of people running the urn, and we're going to talk about how they got away with running the urn and if this was good to run or not, etc. Okay, so for the first example here, we can see that on our team, we've got Warden ulti coming up soon and 3 ultis up. And the enemy team is in a very similar condition with 3 ultis up and then these 2 that are sort of quite close to being there. We can see that the soul value is quite even as well. And then we can see that we have green tower and there are no other tier 1 towers on the map. So my thinking about this position on the minimap, I do apologize for the quality here, but if I'm on this camp here and I'm farming and this haze can cover this blue wave, if Infernus wanted to, and this didn't happen in the game, but they could pick up this urn, tell me to come and cover yellow and push up yellow, and then our team is already here defending this objective, and we're in a strong position where our teammates are respawning in 2 seconds here to reinforce this, and we've got a Warden ulti to try and secure the urn with. So although it's actually a 10-minute urn, we're in a position where we're ahead and we're bringing the urn towards an objective that we already want numbers at to defend. So this would actually be a good case of a 10-minute urn to run, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong, and you could definitely argue that an Infernus just wants to keep farming because they're a carry hero, but given our team composition, we have lots of carry heroes, and I think I definitely don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think anybody would have been opposed to it if Infernus did make that call. Okay. Then for the next one, this is a 15-minute urn. We can see that we're similar in souls again. We've got a Warden ulti coming up soon, and we've got a Dome, and then we've got Wraith ulti. Now they have 2 ultis, maybe 3 with Ivy ulti as well. So they do have some similar combat power, so that's not really a worry for us. So we're looking at map stay again. So right here, we can see that the Paradox is shoving out this wave and they're in a position to pick up this urn. Now, I believe what happens is they pick up this urn and they run it. Now, from here, I need to cover this blue wave, and Warden, rightly so, goes to cover this green wave. Now, there's no objective here for Warden to push, so instead of keeping pushing, he eats this one wave and he boosts back and he comes and uses his ultimate to fight on this urn. Now, like I said, I had to cover this blue wave. This Ivy actually went to the fight. So I made the decision to stay and I took this Walker. So again, it's that strategy of sort of having one person answer each wave whilst everybody else groups up. And Warden was in a position where his ultimates are nearly up, so he just boosted away because he knew that he's got good teamfight potential, whereas I have a lot more damage on Wraith to just pump my damage into the tower and get that kill on the Walker and get some souls for my team. Now, this last one that we're going to look at as an example, we can see here that, again, even on souls, it's a 15-minute urn. We've got 2 ultis, they've got 4. And looking at this minimap, they're all clumping around this this urn. My teammate is getting pushed 1v2 on this Walker. So right now, we're sort of playing defense. We have to let them take the urn if they want to. We can't really contest it because we need to stabilize the map state. Now, there is an objective here as well that we need to take. So what ends up happening is we're 2v2 and we defend this just fine. They don't get a push. I don't think we get any kills. They have to come and answer this blue wave. So we know that one person's going to show up here. And I believe what happens is we end up fighting and we get this tower. And now after we kill this tower, we can absolutely run this urn. But before, it doesn't really feel worth it because we're waiting our team here already. We may as well try and take this objective first. I hope that makes sense. Now let's go on to some videos and talk about how the urn is ran. For our first example, we're going to be looking at Kina. Kina is one of my duos and they play support. They're very, very good at Kelvin especially, but the way they play their urn, in my opinion, is very good. So you can see here that they've just shoved out a wave on blue and they've run straight to this urn. On the timer here, we know that the timers are a bit broken on replays, but it's saying 16 minutes, so this urn has probably been up for about 30 seconds at most when they go and grab it. They did just sneak past these 2 to grab it. You can see that they're sort of... the enemies are right here, but our wave is shoved up just in front of this urn. So he's got a small window of opportunity that he's using to grab this urn as quickly as possible. And then he's straight off to go towards the urn. The urn deposit site, I should say. He sees that this wave on Guardian Walker isn't being taken, but he comes and fixes this first, because importantly, we have to cover all of our lanes. Now that the pocket's here, he's considering going, but if we look at the minimap here, we can see on the minimap there's actually a fight brewing at our walker. And we can see that our viscous here is so low, so going towards this urn right now might not be the safest bet. So what Kino decides to do is walk back towards the walker, drop the urn for a bit, make sure that we're not losing pressure and we're keeping this walker up. We see here we get a nice kill on this lash for free before we even show up. We show with force, making sure this Infernus is running away. We see that we kill the haze as well, and we go to pick up the urn again. Now that the play's over, there's no point hanging around. We can do what we intended to do initially anyway. Now again, because there's 2 dead, and we can see that this Great Talon is quite low, and we know the Infernus is running away. He's just running through mid. The pocket's already pushed this wave. There's no risk at running through mid at this point. But it is important to note that now that he's towards the urn site, he's running behind his allies. He doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks here. The wave's shoved up past the urn site, so they have to play it a little bit slow. But he does also know that he's on a bit of a timer, right? Because these enemies that are being killed have now respawned. So he can't dilly-dally too much. He does have to get in there quickly. In this instance, he sees an opportunity where he's not seeing anybody. He's walking up with allies, and he just goes for it. Now, this is really important to note. When an enemy tries to knock the urn off you by heavy meleeing, you can double jump. Now, it's a bit of a meta game, and once you start double jumping, people will jump and then heavy melee, but as a rule of thumb, if you're struggling to get urns off, and you're not dodging consistently, like the first punch or so, just give it a try. Try double jumping a few punches and going for these slightly riskier urn deliveries, but don't die for it is the important thing. Just do it if you think that there's only one there, right? One person should not stop you from delivering an urn. In this instance, like I said, they know that these respawn timers have come off and people are rushing here, so now is a good time to try and pull the trigger and risk taking this urn quickly. Now, it doesn't go perfectly to plan. They lose quite a few of these souls, so maybe even the enemy team gets more benefit out of it if there are a few kills. This is just a really great discipline on how to run the urn overall. Because that, like I said, they stopped the second that they realised them holding the urn meant that there was a risk of the walker being taken, and then they made sure the wave was fixed on blue, then they walked up with their allies to deliver the urn. Let's move on to the next example. Okay, so for this example, the wave's completely shoved. We know we've got a window here where we can pick up the urn. It's a 20-minute urn this time, and it's favoured for our side. So we've been losing this game, and they've just made the decision to grab this urn and run it safely. Our wave is shoved on the other side of the map on the urn deposit site, so this is a pretty simple, pretty safe urn to be running. Like you see, we're running behind our walker, we're not taking any chances. You can see, most importantly as well, is I'm on the Ivy here. What I decided to do was I decided to take a sin and sacrifice near the urn, and I make sure that I don't leave until I'm confident there's nobody here and this is a free urn. Oftentimes, as long as you do these urns quickly, you will find that the enemy doesn't respond. It's when you leave it on the map for a long period of time that it can become a problem and it can become an all-out fight. So we'll just recap what's happened here and what we're looking at on the map. We can see that there's players who are in the center of the map, and we've taken control and pushed this wave aggressively. We know now that it may take about 30 seconds. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so it's taken about, so if I'm looking at the timer on the player here, it's 40 seconds is when the clip is delivered. We're picking up the urn at 13 seconds. So this 20-minute urn, it's taken us 27 seconds to deliver. And if the wave's completely shoved, then we know for a fact that the next wave's not going to spawn for 30 seconds to 25 seconds. Is the shortest spawn time for minion waves. So we absolutely have enough time to do this, quite consequence free. I'm not going to say it's always going to be free, but in this position specifically, it's very likely that this is going to be a free, safe urn, because it's got a combat mechanic of it's being favoured towards our side. This is really, really important that we're taking these urns. So for the last example of an urn to run, this one is a bit cheeky and it doesn't necessarily follow our normal principles, but I made a decision during this game where I recognised that the lash might have been overcommitting for the urn, and I saw him drop the urn to answer a wave that I've shoved. So we can see here that this lash has the urn now, so I can see him on the map. I answer this wave, so I kill this wave. and then I kill the next wave. And when I'm killing this next wave, I see that the urn's already been dropped. So in my mind at this point, I can take this wave and I'm not going to commit to the walker because I can easily defend it. There's no point me trying to risk my life to push this. What I see is nobody's coming to pick up this wave, even though they dropped the urn a little while ago. So I'm walking towards the urn now thinking they have to answer this wave. And lo and behold, we see the lash going on the wave, and I've yoinked the urn from him. Now, because I know I'm on a timer here, and I've not got long until they either start pushing this side lane or it's an all-out fight, but my team is already at the urn deposit site and winning a fight, I know that even though I'm a carry player, this is a great urn to try and run. So I'm running straight through blue lane through mid boss here. I'm not really concerned about that wave because I can see that Billy's on the map to fix that wave. I'm just trying to get this urn delivered as quickly as possible so that I can get back to farming. Okay, so hopefully those examples have given you some idea of how urns can be run and the sort of thought process behind them. I know it's not all-encompassing and there are a lot of unique situations when it comes to running the urn, but the best advice I could have is if you're a hard carry, ideally you want to be asking your teammates to run the urn for you so that you can put pressure on a side lane. For example, think Wraith and Ivy, or even something like McGinnis is good at pushing walkers. Those sorts of heroes would quite like to be on the opposite side of the urn delivery site. It's just important to note that your hero role is dependent of where you would be in this sort of 1-1-4 setup, and it's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a good idea of how to start thinking about the urn. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching again, and have a nice day.